Love you, Linda. Love you.
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
Hey, Justice Serve
Hello.
TV. How are you? Hey, we
Hello.
are live from at least
Hey.
2 corners of the world, maybe not 4
Yeah.
corners.
Well,
Oh.
2 corners of the world. Nice to see you, Michael Brown. I see we're dressed.
Good to see you.
You got the memo. Dressed in a black shirt.
Was that the
Okay.
deal? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the deal because it
Worked
was
out.
like, I think DiSogra was like a funeral for Hank Brennan's day, but it drove me crazy that maybe it was my funeral because it was excruciating. But anyhow, while you were away investigating the Madeline McCann case, and everyone knows that's what you're doing now. By the way, our winner was one of the 1,000. We had over 1,000 people today watching our streaming and chatting. It was if you build it, they will come. We also did a rant. I don't know if you have seen the rant. It's a rant about the attack on women by the Commonwealth, and it also talked about Jessica Machado, who cannot get a seat, and she probably can't cover the case because she can't make any money if they don't give her a seat. And some people just seem to have all the luck in the world. It's like they're playing poker and they get aces every day.
Here are my thoughts on that, and I'm not so sure. I'm not saying sexism is not an issue, but I don't think it's the key issue with her. She's a journalist, right? And those that seem to be bumping off more traditional journalists seem to be pro-Commonwealth. So I don't know if it's a sex thing or pro-Commonwealth versus journalist thing, but the folks that seem to be getting seats 80 to 100% of the time, which doesn't sound so randomizer-ish to me, seem to have a bent that maybe the Commonwealth is more comfortable with. So I don't blame her.
My point was that there's a war. There was kind of a war with regard to the medical examiner, the forensic neuropathologist, all female. That this is outrageous that the Commonwealth is doing it, and that we want to have a female perspective in that courtroom of how we're taking in the evidence. I mean, the jury's half and half. I don't want to hear from all men, and I certainly don't want to hear from all these expert witnesses that you bring in. Dr. Wolf, God bless him, he may be a great surgeon, and then you bring in Welcher, who I have no comment on today, and you bring in all these people who are trying to go around women, and I think it's disgusting. And then when you add to that you can't get fair women in to monitor the trial, except for Sue from Boston, God bless her, she's fabulous. It's unfair. It's just unfair, and it's not right, and I don't like it, and I'm going to sound off about it, whether it's discriminatory or not.
Oh, it's discriminatory. Whether sex is the key discrimination or not, I don't know, but I'm confident that it is the anti-Commonwealth or neutral position that the Commonwealth does not like, and therefore the randomizer. Does anybody ever really know what that is? How it works?
No.
Anybody ever seen it? I mean, come on. It's about as random.
Even when when they do voter polls of who gets the first column, right? They do it in public and all that type of stuff. It's not done in public. I mean, forget you and I can't get a seat because even though you are the plaintiff in one of the biggest First Amendment journalist cases in the United States this year so far, right? Forget that. Let's just put all that aside. The way they treat journalism here is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So just put that aside. Put that aside. She's there every day, and she may not be able to give us her opinion because she had we tried to invite her on the show tonight, but she didn't answer for our invitation. I hope she does come on the show, and I hope she doesn't stop covering it, whatever it is, because maybe if you're the squeaky wheel, maybe somebody will pay attention,
I hope so. But she's always been even-handed. She's been, covering the entire case, not just one side of the case. So, it's unfortunate. I was there on the steps with her when we were Q&Aing. I believe at the time it was a post-Aiden Carney hearing, and we were the only two there that were covering it. So, anyway, hey, let me just say before we kind of get things rolling, I will lose signal and power at some point. I'm just throwing that out there. And when it happens,
so let's talk about what happened today. Then, if
it'll happen, I'll rejoin. But I'm just giving you a heads up. It will happen.
Okay. All right. That's it. See,
wait. I should tell you one more thing. This building right here, behind me.
Yeah.
This is the building from which Madeline McCann was disappeared. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Not down the street. Not over. Not by the beach. This building right behind me.
Oh my gosh! What
So hopefully
apartment?
nobody else will, notify the cops. Let's face it, the folks in this area are sick of publicity about this case, now 18 years old. Of course, we're talking about 3-year-old Madeline McCann, disappeared in May 18 years ago. She'd be coming up on 22 years old right now, same age as my son. So it kind of gets me. So anyway, they don't like a lot of publicity about it as late into the process as it is, but we've talked about it. I posted a story today about how I'd followed up on some of the new funds being generated to continue pursuit of the case. The fact that Christian Bruckner, once considered the prime suspect, is probably no more the prime suspect.
Really?
And I got a key response from Scotland Yard about where their money's being spent, who's involved, what's going on here in Portugal. Portugal's still the primary agency. It happened here, but they're getting money and other help from the UK and from Germany. Because remember, this Christian Bruckner, who was tried for a rape that occurred allegedly in the same small area, was recently acquitted. And that may have led to the fact that he's no longer the primary suspect. So anyway, I just want to get that in to suggest,
Wow.
makes sense why I'm standing here, just not a random location.
And so if the gendarmes come and take you away, we know why.
Yes. I mean, hey, if I can't get arrested by the stormtroopers in Canton and Dedham, then, maybe I have to go to Portugal.
So everyone should go check our Justice Served TV page on YouTube and look for that story. And obviously, we'll send a link out on X to it also. But please check the Justice Served TV page. And by the way, while you're on, before you forget, hit the like and subscribe button, because I said we had 1,000 people on. If every one of those 1,000 people I hit, we'd be like close to 15,000. But somehow people forget to put like and subscribe, even though they're watching us. So
I know, and you're very good at reminding. I am horrible at reminding, so I appreciate
well,
that.
we got into a fashion show. Everyone wanted to know where about the hoodie, and then we had to show the hoodies and all sorts of stuff. So let's go into what happened today in the case. I know Lauren is here. Just we need about 5 minutes. There was DiSogra. He was wonderful. He's from Delta. He's one of the biggest analysts in the world about analyzing data. I mean, that's what they do for all these big rigs, and they analyze data. And he was with our favorite Shannon with one N, Burgess. And he pointed out that when they got there to do the cars, because, the defense sends somebody along because this could be something that ruined the car. And the protocol that they had agreed to was changed by Burgess. That's when he decided to pull the SIM card out, which is not done. So there is no data on whether pulling a SIM card out of a Lexus Toyota is a good thing to do. But in any event, he apparently decided to pull it out because he misread gigabytes versus gigabits. But DiSogra was in no position to stop what the state examiner was doing, right? Because he was hired by the state. But that's not usually done. That's not usually the way it's done. But this time it was done that way. So he worked off the data that both he and Welcher testified to, and pointed out that there's a 10-second window, that they were 5 seconds off. But even using that, basically pointed out with their data that in basically 90% of the time, either John O'Keefe was alive after the triggering event, and 10% using their best statistics, it was dead beforehand or had hit beforehand. But if you take something that they had done wrong, well, not that they had done wrong, if you take the healthcare data on the iPhone, which showed that he moved up 3 flights of stairs, 80 feet, 3 flights of stairs, then it's 100% of the time, even based on their data, that John O'Keefe was alive after the triggering event. And by the way, the triggering event, there were 19 of them, before this and 11 after, and none of them involved automobile crashes, just so you know. So Hank was someone said a jerk. I actually called him a jerk. Okay.
No.
But yeah, I'd like you to listen to a little bit. We have both the redirect and the redirect, which is really fabulous, of Alan Jackson. And I'd like to play those.
You were asked a number of questions.
Yes.
Thank you. You were asked a number of questions a few minutes ago by Mr. Brennan concerning your expertise. I'm just going to grab a pen. Specifically, you were asked about your expertise regarding mobile data devices. mobile devices and their data, correct?
Yes.
And were you being truthful when you indicated that you were not an expert in
Yes.
that field? Were you being truthful when you indicated that you have a certain expertise in EDR data?
Yes.
Were you being truthful when you indicated that you did review Mr. Burgess's data and Mr. Welcher's data as reflected in their reports and PowerPoints?
Yes.
Were you being truthful about your credentials?
Yes.
Have you ever lied about your credentials?
No.
You hold a bachelor's degree
Yes.
and you hold a master's degree.
I do.
You ever lied to anybody about that?
No.
Mr. DiSogra, what is the only reason you amended your PowerPoint presentation from its original version to the one that you most recently amended it to?
To include the additional analysis and data points from Mr. Burgess's supplemental report,
So-
the May 8th report.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go
The
ahead.
May 8th report.
So you amended yours because he amended his.
Correct.
You were asked just a second ago about all the text stream events that you noted on Ms. Reed's SUV, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Brennan asked you about a specific text stream event at or around 5:07 in the morning, and whether you had something like that committed to memory, correct?
Yes.
You said, I don't have them all committed to memory, right?
I don't.
What did you say after that? Because there's how many?
It was 19 events prior to 1162-2, 19 other events.
How about after 1162?
There were a number after 1162-2. I don't have the exact count in my head.
How about after 1162, just on January 29th, going into January 30th?
There were other events.
How many?
I don't recall the exact number.
Does 11 sound right?
That it sounds plausible. I recall seeing in the chart. I recall seeing a number of events after.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at a chart?
It would. Thank you. Yeah, there are a lot. I would have to really use my finger to count them all.
Okay, more than 8,
Total after 1162-2,
only on the 29th.
there aren't date stamps on these because this chart is the raw text stream data, which doesn't have timestamps.
Safe to say, there are many, right?
Yes.
May I how much?
Yes.
And again, this goes back to a question that you were asking Mr. Brennan. I want to follow up on. In no instance were any of those related to a collision, to your knowledge, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Were any of those that you reviewed at any time, the lifetime of the vehicle, related to a collision?
None of them were triggered by a collision.
Thank you. I want to ask you a hypothetical, if I could, based on questioning by Mr. Brennan surrounding the 12/32/09 lock event. Do you remember him asking you about those questions, about that event?
Yes.
Your analysis was based on the time span. Let me rephrase that. Was your analysis based on Mr. Burgess's and Mr. Welcher's analyses together of a span of time between the 1162-2 text stream event or trigger event and the lock event at 12/32/09?
Objection.
So the question is that what he's considering?
Correct. In other words, was he basing his opinion or analysis on that time frame, at least in part?
So I'll let that question stand.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. If you were told that there was another interaction phone event on John O'Keefe's phone at 12/32/16 in the form of steps taken, 36 steps over the course of 83 feet, would that change your analysis or opinion in any way?
Objection.
I'll allow that in that form.
Yes.
In what way?
if the phone event moves from 12:32:09 to 12:32:16, then of the 30 possibilities I had in the chart, all of them would become positive. That would mean that that interaction occurs after the end of the vehicle event every single time. Instead of, it was 25 for 30 in the original analysis, the hypothetical would change it to 30 for 30.
All of them, all 30 of them.
Boom.
At a point in time, let me rephrase that. All of them would reflect a scenario in which the phone interaction took place after the trigger event.
That's correct.
Thank you. If you were told, to give you another hypothetical, if you were told that there was a Doppler state event on the phone, pocket state event on the phone at 12:33:14, would that impact your opinion in any way?
Objection.
Sustained.
Hiding the truth.
You were asked several questions about what you believed Mr. Burgess may have gotten wrong in terms of his original report and one of his original analyses dealing with bits and bytes. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Did Mr. Burgess?
Hold on.
Of course.
You need to, you know, we have to turn the fans off.
And I'm not speaking loud enough.
Right.
I'm sorry.
You know,
I'll
why
raise
don't
my
we
voice
why don't we pause
screaming at
this?
people, but I will raise my
Okay.
voice.
Why don't we pause this? We'll finish it along with the redirect. There's something to go to, Michael, because Lauren Conlin is here and she has a hard out at 6:30.
Sure. Yeah. Let's shift gears. It is good to hear Alan
Okay.
Jackson again, although he wish
Oh,
he was
I
more.
did too. I was
I
like,
wish he was more on mic, but other than that, it's good to hear him.
Welcome
But yeah,
back, Alan.
Lauren's here, and that is great. And this is, as challenging as the Karen Reed retrial is, the Diddy case is just downright nauseating. So can we bring her in and kind of get some details? There she is. Oh, she's there and she's gone.
And then, by the way, for all of you who want to see Reed, we're going to go back to Reed. Don't worry about it.
Lauren, how are
Lauren.
you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys? I mean,
Good.
I'm tired, but
I
I'm
bet.
good. In order to get into the courtroom, I've got to get up every day around 5 to get to the courthouse by about 6:15. So come Friday, I'm kind of done. I'm kind of like, but yeah, all good.
So tell us, give us, as best you can, a thumbnail. Where are we in the case? What's next? And how do you think it's going?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting week. I'm sure you guys heard the defense move for a mistrial. I think it was, it was 2 days ago, maybe yesterday. I can't even remember at this point. But this week's been the first week we've actually kind of heard some real foundation for the RICO charge. And I think that's where the mistrial, I guess, kind of came into play, because the line of questioning the government was doing with the arson investigator, and this arson investigator investigated Kid Cudi's car being blown up. And basically, the government kind of alluded to the fact that a piece of evidence went missing at the LAPD, this print card that was taken from the trespassing incident of Kid Cudi's house, which was in December. And they wanted to compare the two. The prints they got off the Molotov cocktail, or the DNA they got off the Molotov cocktail from the car explosion and the trespassing incident. When they went to get these print cards, they were destroyed. And so the government asked the arson investigator, well, did you ask for this evidence to be destroyed? You were the lead investigator here. He said no. They asked some more questions before that. But then when they said, was it unusual that this evidence was destroyed? That's when there was an objection. And essentially, after this break we had, the defense came back and said, look, a huge concern for the jurors was the fact that they think celebrities can pay their way out of these situations. People like Diddy do it all the time. So they can't unhear what they just heard. So we move for a mistrial. The judge, said no, because they didn't object right away. They only objected after they asked, was it unusual? So what happened was the judge instructed the jury to disregard the question and disregard the answer. And that was that. So that was a big moment that we heard about. And then we heard from Capricorn Clark, one of his very close and trusted assistants, as well as Mia today, and she doesn't finish until Monday, who is also victim 4, was an assistant and worked with Diddy at his Revolt TV network.
Can
Diddy
I ask you
also,
a question? Can I ask you a
yeah,
question? Is she
yeah.
named in the indictment as a victim? She is named as a victim in the indictment?
Yeah, Mia is a pseudonym. So she's very
Okay.
much like, she even talks down like that. And we're barred from describing kind of obviously what she looks like, but she kind of talks down. She's very quiet. It's hard to hear her. But yeah, so she and Capricorn Clark, I feel like, have really started to lay the foundation of the RICO charges, because we've heard some things here and there, but I think at this point the government's starting to tie it together a little bit more. But Mia also alleged that Diddy sexually assaulted her multiple times, and it's very clear during Brian Steele's cross-examination that Diddy feels 100% like this was consensual. And there was a point this afternoon where Brian Steele kind of like, he was very even. He was doing a good job of not really badgering Mia, which I thought was smart. And he just kind of goes, well, isn't it true that all of this, these sexual assaults or these incidents that you're speaking of, they were consensual, something like that. And Mia was even like, excuse me? I thought it was quite a moment. And then he kind of dialed back a little bit because there was an objection. But it's tough. I mean, you've got a woman on the stand who really has testified to some awful treatment, right?
No, we can't even go put it on the air, right?
No, and it's like, I understand Stockholm syndrome. I understand why you can't leave. And Mia has even testified about just her personality traits. I'm a people pleaser. I'm this, I'm that. And so this is why I couldn't really leave. This is why I put up with all of this, because, she's talking about how Diddy traumatized her so much that she can't hold the job because of her PTSD. And then you've got the defense pulling up pretty much everything that she's ever posted on Instagram, which is telling Diddy that she loves him, how inspirational he is. I could go on. Like this girl, Mia, was very sweet seeming, very sweet, very much, you could tell, like it was tough, but she's trying to explain why she did this. And she actually even cited well, I'm not a doctor, but my therapist says this. Well, if you talk to a trauma expert, they'll tell you this. She was very well informed when it came to that. You can tell she's been working on this and working on herself. But, I think certain people, you really have to explain and break down what a RICO charge is. And I'm just going to say this. I haven't been offering my opinion too much, but what Diddy put his employees through, I'm going to say namely the women, because we have not heard any testimony about him beating up on a guy. Like, yeah, he overworked the guys and they had to do some shitty stuff, but he never kicked them on the ground. He never slapped them. He never threw stuff out at him. No, Mia is not the missing one. That's Gina. Gina is the missing one. Or the witness who didn't return the prosecutor's calls, and her lawyer didn't either. But we've heard Gina's name a lot. But yeah, so I just lost my train of thought by answering that. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But no,
I think it's
sorry.
important for people. It's important for people to know with regard. But I'm interested in the RICO thing. First of all, somebody's very upset with Brian Steele. It's a huge shame that Brian Steele took the dark side in this trial, but that's what defense attorneys do. You can't.
That's right.
Everyone has a fair trial. But I'm interested in the RICO. There was things on kidnapping and the firebombing, because that's the real issue here. Is the RICO, right?
Yeah. So Linda,
what was that? What was that about?
I feel like when it comes to the RICO, so far, everything we've heard could be countered with some reasonable doubt by the defense. This actually goes back to Cassie's mom's testimony about Diddy demanding $20,000 from her to not release these sex tapes of Cassie. And I say that there's reasonable doubt because this is a witness testifying to this, which I believed her. That's my opinion. But a juror might want to see, some paper trail, because she said someone from Bad Boy sent over, wire info where she should wire this money. And she actually said that Diddy returned the money 2 days later. So you could have a juror that says, well, we didn't see the evidence of this. I don't know if I believe her. He returned the money. Is it extortion? I could see that argument happening, as well as the arson in terms of, and the quote, kidnapping of Capricorn Clark, because Kid Cudi filed a police report and there was female prints or DNA lifted off of the Molotov cocktail bottle, which was an Old English bottle. So we've got that. And then when he filed this police report, he spoke to Capricorn Clark, who kind of said, and this is, sorry, these are two separate instances. I'm sorry. So that's the Molotov cocktail. The kidnapping was when he broke into Kid Cudi's house and took Capricorn Clark with him. She testified he had a gun and took her there and she had no choice. And, she called Kid Cudi and Cassie and said, he's in your house. He's got a gun. Well, the defense asked Kid Cudi, well, did you tell the police about this kidnapping that you heard about before? And he said, no. Well, did you tell them about a gun being involved? Because Diddy had a gun, you heard. Wouldn't that be important? And he didn't. So, these police reports are important because they don't mention Sean Combs's name at all. And same with the arson investigation. Technically, it's still pending. He said it's still open, pending, although inactive. But the people he called, Kid Cudi told him to call Cassie Ventura and Capricorn Clark because they might know something. Never mentioned Sean Combs.
Wow. It's a powerful weapon, this RICO, but can you prove it? Can you put all the dots, connect them? It's difficult sometimes. The jury's got to do a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
This is not simple.
It's funny because Sheila's question, this reminds me of Karen Reed because it depends on who you ask. Like, does the prosecution have a strong case or do they not? I mean, I feel like the juror instructions are going to be like a day and a half because at this point, if you don't know the definition of these charges and you're sitting in the courtroom, I mean, you're going to say this is a DV case. This is an assault case. This is a hostile work environment case. This is a civil case. Besides the DV and assault stuff, which the statute of limitations is up. But if you go through the definitions of the charges, which I have, you can see where everything comes into play. However, I think that if maybe this was a state case and some of these things were brought up to a DA might say, you're kind of reaching here. You know what I mean? Like but it's horrific. And it's very obvious as to what's going on and what's happening. So it's just so hard to verbalize sometimes because I see what they're getting at. I see, even today, Mia said that after Cassie's lawsuit dropped, one of Diddy's security guards called her and said, I want to send you a gift. She took that as money. She didn't get a gift. She didn't take the money, but it's like, we see what's happening now. So I'm trying to look at this case from an unbiased perspective. So I don't want anyone to get upset with me when I say like things like I just said, where some of it could be reaching, because all of it is awful. All of it is dark. I walk away every day feeling so sorry for these people, so effing bad for them and what they had to deal with. But it's sometimes I'm just like, is it going to be enough? I don't know yet. Week 3.
Yeah. And that's Sheila Duffy has that question after 2 weeks, 3 now. Do you think it's a strong case for the prosecution? Just in general.
What I was. Yeah.
How do you feel? We're not. How much longer do they have in their case in chief? And do you think they're getting where they need to get, just in general?
Yeah. I mean, I that's what I was kind of touching on before. But they have about. They said they're going to probably go 6 weeks. It might run a little bit shorter than 7. They said they may cut some witnesses. I'm really hoping they do. I mean, we heard from a hotel manager at the La Hermitage Hotel, didn't even get cross-examined because he just was like, yes, we added $1,000 for extra cleanup for his room because there's oil everywhere and candle wax. And it's like, yes, we get it. It's corroboration, but my God, it went on for a really long time, the questioning. And, you're sitting there, the jury's falling asleep, where it's like, we believe that he used baby oil during freak-offs. We know he destroyed these rooms. We're aware. So let's move on. So I'm kind of hoping they cut some of those witnesses,
Yeah.
So
well, Linda, sometimes attorneys can just go crazy. Attorneys are deep in the woods sometimes and they don't, they don't, hit the high points and move on. Sometimes they're a little too much.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions for you. The first is you're in there, so you get to see the jury. How are they reacting? And the second is, how are you? Because I know after the first week, I was worried about you getting PTSD. And if you have it, the jurors have it. So I guess they're interrelated questions.
I'm okay. I mean, the first weekend, I think did I tell you that I kind of woke up at like 4 a.m. kind of thinking of just some of these situations that Cassie described, that some of the witnesses described. And yeah, it's tough because as a woman, and as I'm also, or I guess I used to be more so a people pleaser, and I would always just try to work so hard to make my bosses proud and make everybody proud of me. And so I kind of understand that mentality where you go back to this, someone who's kind of not that nice to you. I mean, now I'm 40, I've changed a lot, but my 20-year-old self, I can relate to what they went through, but in terms of the jury, it's been tough. They've been very difficult to read. I have seen one woman, she kind of has like a smirk on her face a lot. I noticed this during the cross-examination specifically of Dawn Richard. And because Dawn Richard, I feel horrible saying this, but I felt like she really got ripped apart during cross because of some inconsistent statements she made about a death threat, which goes to RICO. And so that was kind of hammered on. And this juror kind of smirked. There's two men. One of the men seems really into like reading all of the documents. He seems to sit there and really just focus. And another man just looks very perplexed the whole time. But other than that, they're super stoic. There's one guy that walks in every day with a huge smile on his face, stares at the press. Like he's kind of like, who's going to buy my book? Like who's going to, it's kind of weird. But yeah, right. It's kind of, I don't know. But
So
yeah,
remind us, there's 6 on the jury. What's the breakdown, men, women?
So I think it's mainly men on the jury. There's on the actual jury, there's 4 women, 8 men, and the age differences are crazy. I feel like deliberations, I mean, it's going to be a battle of the generations because you've got only 3 people under 40, basically. That's it. And then you've got many of the jurors in their 60s and 70s. So I think they're gonna go head to head on some of this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot to take in. What do you expect next week? The final question for you, I guess. What do you expect next week?
No, I mean, we're going to continue with Mia on Monday, but we don't generally know the witnesses until pretty much the day before. And that's kind of how we found out about Kid Cudi the day before. They kind of announced it and all the press ran out of the courtroom. And I think it was Complex that got the exclusive to say Kid Cudi's coming on the stand this week. But yeah, I'm not sure just yet. I actually ran out of the courtroom today when the jury left. So they usually discuss some of that after, but I didn't get to hear, and I have not checked any other outlets so far. So maybe they didn't announce it, but I expect that, we're going to hear from travel agents that help book some of these flights for the escorts from different cities.
And that's important. We're talking about Mann Act violations, transporting people across state lines for illicit purposes.
The charges is the transportation to engage, and they were discussing some of that this morning. So I feel like they're on the docket next. But I could be wrong. But I feel like if there's any more big celebrities, we're not going to know until a day or two before.
Yeah, I get that. I get it.
Yeah.
Well, Lauren, I'm concerned for you. So get some sleep this weekend. Get some sleep.
I'm going to try.
And you will be fresh and ready to go next week. And we wish you the best, and we hope we can check in with you on occasion to keep us up to speed on this case. I'm going to run into you down there soon because this case is going to go on for another month and a half or so.
They said we'll definitely be done before July 4th, but then I'm like, oh my God, but what about deliberations? Like we don't get phones in there. It's so annoying.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy. I'm like glued to my phone. So this has been so weird for me. Like I know, but good for me also. So, yeah.
Well, you're doing an amazing job, and we appreciate you sharing what you've been able to take in there.
Yeah,
Thank
sorry
you.
we gave you a little Karen Reed education with a little mix up on time. I apologize.
Oh yeah, no, I still try to catch up on that every other day just because it's. But anyway, love you, Linda and Michael. Thank you so much. You guys are great.
You too, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Oh, we lost Michael. So while we're booting up, I would like to actually boot up Al. Oh, you're back, Alan Jackson.
Yes, I didn't do that. Even Starlink has its. There's like giant bugs here. Starlink decides when I come and go.
I think we should move to the redirect next and just skipped over the rest of Alan Jackson's redirect. But Rock Show says, thank you for the donation, by the way. My 82-year-old mom was so mad at Hank today. She said, someone should kick him in the, And was that
Shut
that
him
sneakers?
up.
Kick him in the sneakers?
Yeah,
shut him up.
shut him up.
She doesn't even swear. It got me swearing too. I mean, I was like,
Well, I'm not sure Hank Brennan was the cause of that, but okay, if you want to go that way. But certainly Hank Brennan brings out those things in people. He just does. So there you go.
So why don't you listen, Michael? Because I know you've been out and about investigating Alan McCann. Just listen to the redirect, and I just want to point. This is how things should be done.
Okay.
12:32:16. Wasn't just that Mr. McKee's phone was moving with the steps.
I didn't review the phone data, so I don't know.
Did you review anything to indicate that steps were taken over the course of 50?
Objection.
So that's sustained.
You were asked just a second ago. What about the data? What's wrong? Then you'd be wrong, correct?
Generally, yes.
Garbage in, garbage out. Basic scientific postulate, correct?
Generally, yes.
You're relying on whose data?
Mr. Burgess's data and Dr. Welcher's data.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. DiSogra, you are all set, sir. So you can step down. I'm going to see counsel for a minute. Joyce, feel free to stand up.
Yeah,
You're all set. Everybody's all set. Everybody.
I know, but that was a great way to end it because Hank Brennan made this whole recross about if your data is wrong, isn't everything here if your data is wrong? Well then we take out lines 4, this goes from 12 to 4. But the problem is the data was the data that
Burgess, Welcher, yeah. So can't disagree with that.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. And it was painful. I mean, it was so great. DiSogra was so great. I think people have named him Dashboard Daddy. Dashboard Daddy.
I don't know, but from the chat, I'm seeing he's very popular.
Oh
So,
yeah,
he's very popular.
Yeah.
So it's nice to get somebody on the stand that just seems to be there to do their job. There's not a real agenda. Here's what happened. Here's my interpretation. Here's what I relied on. Not get in some sort of ticky-tack battle with the attorney who's questioning him. Kind of the way it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Sky Hopper, T16 Media. Hey, Sky Hopper, I hope your visit to Universal was great. If you want to be a lawyer, just follow the way Alan Jackson just did cross and recross because it was great. But I hope you're feeling better. And thank you for joining us.
Always good to have along. Yeah. And what are those? What were those little? What are those little emoji things?
Sorry.
I couldn't decipher them.
I can't see. I couldn't see that.
All
but
right.
we coined Dashboard Daddy. Okay, it was actually Missy who coined Dashboard Daddy, not Crash Daddy. Dashboard Daddy. He's already testified, Michael, in one other case as an expert. He is the head of this department. I mean, he is such a big deal. He knows how to interpret data. I didn't even know you could interpret as much data as next time you get in your car. You thought this
it's scary.
You thought this was a spy?
I know.
You thought this was a spy? No, this was not a spy. This is like what are we gonna say? This is nothing. This is not a spy. That's all I can say.
This is grade school, and your car is advanced college degree stuff.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's I'm just taking a picture of you there, by the way.
So when you have a witness like this guy, he's not a professional witness. He's got a job. He's got things that he does outside of testifying. So I think that always helps when the jury understands that this is not just somebody bought and paid for. Here he comes. Here's his opinions. Here's the basis. Let's see how the battle shakes out. This is a guy. This is, as part of my job. Here's what I've done. I think that's important.
And he didn't degrade anybody, like we had Hank Brennan started asking him, are you sure you're able to interpret downloads? And of course, that's what he does. He interprets downloads, right? That's what he does, And
Brennan met his match, and I'm sure he was very frustrated because he couldn't, make any real inroads. Yeah. Too bad. That's the way it goes.
Anyhow. So when we left, as you were getting ready, still investigating, because we know you've been so busy. When we left, there were two things that happened. The prosecution filed 2 motions today. One was to not have any hearsay. That's the texting, the text buddy who was on the chat, one of the text buddies. And the second motion was to get reciprocal discovery on the 911 operator, the Canton police officer who took the call asking where the body was on the lawn or something like that. And so they were waiting to testify, and the judge sent her home, said, we'll probably get to you first thing Monday morning. But then she had to do a voir dire of like an hour and a half where, Unetti was showing that, hey, these texts are important because they go to bias and they go to Baden, right? The defense of improper investigation, and they're related, bias and improper investigation, and that this guy can say who all these people are. I mean, he can say, well, you don't need Proctor. And then Brennan got up and said, I would not stop anybody from talking about bias here, but they need to call Proctor, and then we can cross-examine Proctor, right? And then he said, wait a second, no, they can bring Proctor in a rebuttal. But, so the question is, the judge is going to say she'll have a decision Monday morning, I guess. But the real question is, whose side is she going to take? The side of truth, or is she going to require the defense to call Proctor so that Hank Brennan can cross-examine him and get all the good stuff out?
Yeah, okay, let's assume that's what happens. And I think that's a good assumption, right? We think if it leans in the Commonwealth's favor, history suggests that's where it's going. Okay. So Commonwealth gets to cross-examine Proctor. What are they going to get out of this guy? Are they going to just further pile on at what a despicable guy he is, basically dump on him to help sanitize the rest of the investigation? I don't know what they can do with him that helps them. At best, they can get a neutral impression of his impact. There's nothing that helps them in this prosecution. I can't see it.
He's going to say, the investigation was fine. All my superiors were on it. There was a team. I did fine. And I know this was a hit and run. I just don't know. So that's the game that's going on right here. That's the game that's going on. And I called it a game, and I don't think there's any place in the criminal justice system for a game, but apparently in Dedham, it's still a game. And by the way, you're a hero. You're a hero because in front of the courthouse, we posted pictures that Aiden had posted because he got into the courtroom as a last minute addition today. There were people, all sorts of her supporters greeting her and everything in front of the courthouse,
I like that. And of course, they could have their, we hate the Norfolk County government. That's okay. But they could not say anything pro-Karen Read, anti-Karen Read, anti-judge even. The judge is now somewhat protected under this latest decision. But their right to assemble has been reinstated, even though I think under First Amendment rules shaved a little bit. They should be able to wear whatever in the hell they want and say whatever they want as long as it doesn't disrupt. But this is a huge step, no doubt about it. And congrats to Mark Randazza and the team. John Matus has been on a couple of times. And of course, Mr. Grant, named plaintiff in the first of the 4 suits. So it's all good.
He was on today, but Lloyd and Amber gifted one Justice Serve TV membership. Just before I let you go, Aiden Carney has a post today that was actually really good about all the things the defense still has to prove, that the lead detective was fired, the lead detective's supervisor got demoted, the homeowner never came out, the homeowner's wife got rid of the family dog and lied about it attacking a human, the homeowner's daughter lied about what time she left before the feds confronted her, the homeowner's daughter's boyfriend who woke up in the middle of the night to rush out in the snowstorm to pick up his girlfriend. There's a number of things. I'm not going to read them all because you're going to lose. You see it here. This is the first page. Okay. I won't read it all, but some of them are the brain doctor who could opine on John O'Keefe's head injuries. They're going to have their own forensic pathologist. The first responding officer who didn't hear Karen Read say I hit him. The 4 firefighters who didn't hear it. The plow driver who was in the courthouse today. He was there waiting.
Lucky was there, ready to go.
The DPW director, who the lead detective intentionally misquoted in order to avoid speaking to the plow truck operator. There's a lot of them here. And what Aiden says, and I ask you all to go read it all. We have it here. We're scrolling down fast because I know you have to leave because your power is going to go out. These are facts that can't be ignored, that the defense is still going to be bringing in. I mean, they haven't heard about Chloe. And quite frankly, they haven't heard about collision. Alan Jackson did a directed verdict in the courtroom this morning. And you basically heard the closing statement. No collision, no collision, no collision. Hank Brennan says, tail light here, collision. Basically, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and obviously directed verdict would have been a miracle. Nobody expected that
No,
to be
and
granted.
drunk. I forgot. Hank Brennan did say, and she was intoxicated.
Okay. All right.
There we go.
So,
That's the case.
So it's going
That's
to
what
the
you
jury.
missed.
We get it. Okay, we get that. Fine. Good luck. All right then. Well, it's been a crazy week. Thanks for holding down the fort there. As I've been just traveling, having a few beers, hanging out at the beach. Oh yeah, and following this story. And I'll report again on it tomorrow. We'll drop that over the weekend. Just some updates on what we've been doing, what we've learned. I would love to think that we're closer to solving this case. I'm not so sure, but at least we're finding out what the folks who are supposed to be investigating are actually doing. So
Yeah, no, it's been busy. A busy week. We don't want to keep everyone Friday night. We know you all have plans here, although close to 1,000 of you are watching us today. We had over 1,000 on the stream today, and Monday morning we will be right at it. I assume at 8:50 again. You'll be still traveling, right?
Yeah, Monday I'm probably totally out of the picture because of the travel schedule. So back at it Tuesday morning and back in Dedham, Canton Wednesday, Thursday. So
so I may have you take over Tuesday afternoon. A little bit.
Cool.
For a
yeah,
while,
I'll be in Dedham then. Yep.
Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday? Wednesday.
I'll be there Tuesday afternoon and all day Wednesday.
Oh, okay. So it's Tuesday and Wednesday. All right. I thought it was Wednesday.
Oh no, you may be right. I'll have to double check.
I think it's Wednesday and Thursday because you're coming back all day Monday. You're going to be on air Tuesday and then Wednesday and Thursday. I think you said.
That sounds right.
Dedham. Yeah. And so I may need you to take Wednesday afternoon and maybe the first part of the hour of Wednesday.
No worries, not a problem.
We'll take a look at it, and we have a lot of people already lined up, ready to come. And by the way, if anyone of our viewers wants to see somebody on, tell us. We'll try to reach out to them. Stephen Ford will come on when the Crash Daddies come on.
Yeah, and for those who are wondering, I see things scroll by. Why is it dark where he is? And where is he? There's bugs. It's dark because Portugal's 5 hours ahead of the East Coast, and there are bugs. Yeah.
Bedtime. Go to bed. Go to sleep.
They're not violent. Okay, everybody. Thanks for joining. Michael Bryant here. Until next time, try to do the right thing.
And Linda Kenney Baden here. Please hit before we go the like, subscribe, share, and notify. Just got to give you a second. Like, subscribe. It's right there. Share. Notify, and we will see you bright and early. Well, Michael will see you over the weekend with his post, and we'll see you bright and early Monday morning.